Hello my dear students. In previous video, I have explained you about functions. Functions are very crucial. Functions are very interesting. Functions makes your job very simple. In the beginning, it may look slightly complicated, but as you proceed, it looks easy for you when you write functions, because you will be keeping a specific logic exclusively in a different set of instructions. I am calling some set of instructions, I am calling it a separate function. So what we have seen in the previous class is actually a function is defined with a variable, with a name like variable. For variable you are giving some names like that. For this function also you are giving some names. So when you are choosing the name of the variable, name for the function, you choose which is most relevant. Say for example you are doing a factorial, try to give fact, something like that. Try to give a name which is most suitable. Any function shall have name, then open bracket, then close bracket. Then you have a flower bracket. Well within that all function statements are defined. And we have seen global variables and local variables. Local variables are the variables which are there inside the function. All variables which have declared within that flower bracket of a function, they are all having life till end of this flower bracket. Once you come out, that variable doesn't exist at all. Whereas when you declare it as a global variable, the life of that variable will be there as long as the program is running, entire program is running. You may have some 10 functions in a program. Wherever you are there, whichever function you are there, you can use them. That is a global variable. So therefore global variable, it has got its own advantage. Local variable, of course, you are using it and finishing it off. So therefore, which are the things which are to be used well within the function, try to do with the local variables, right? This is what we have seen in the previous class. So any function when you are declaring, you will be declaring what sort of value it returns to your function, alright? If it returns an integer, you are calling this as an integer function. If you are calling it is a character function, it means it returns a character. If your function is returning a float, then it is called a float function. So depending on the value, single value, only one value it can return. What value it returns, so based on that, you will be calling the type of function. It's an integer function or it's a character function. It's a float function. How it is defined? What value it returns. To return a value to the calling function. See, there are two things actually. One, there are two functions are required. One, the calling function. Another one is the called function, right? In your C program, main is usually the first calling function, because that's a function, that's a default function you will be having it. So you will have main as a default function, that is the calling function that calls whatever the function that you have defined. It goes there. There you have to use a statement called return. Return is a specific value it returns, right? So when you use a return, you have to write this well within that what variable or what value that you are returning. So if you are returning an integer, then it's called an integer function. So this is what we have seen in the previous class. So another thing to be noted down is what it returns from function to the calling function is defined in the return function. Sometimes you may have to pass a parameter there to that function. you have to pass some parameter from that calling function to called function. Can I send some parameters? If it's a global variable, no need of sending because they are accessible there also. Only local variables which are local to the calling function, can I pass some parameter to the called function? Yes, you can pass some parameter to the call function. Let us see that example. I have here include like this. Now I have written one setup program, one small program in C, wherein which I have declared two variables called as age and year of birth. You are reading the age through the keyboard. Somebody should give the age. Age is 50. If it is 50, in which year you are born, that is computed in this function. Here I am calling one function called 1. This function I am writing, this function returns the year of your birth. Now you are in 2024. If your age is 50, then you would have born in 1976. 1976. So this computation will happen here. Year of birth computation will happen in this function. So for this, I am now passing input to that function, as the age here. What is this age? Age is the local variable here. That local variable is passed as a parameter to that function. When you are going there, you are going with a value. This I had not explained in the previous video. In the previous video, I have demonstrated only what is being returned. Now, you can also pass a value to that particular function. Right? We'll complete this program, we'll understand this. So now, year of birth equals to 1 of age. It means I am now passing this parameter age. What is the age value? Age value, whatever you have typed. You would have typed 23, you would have typed 50, whatever age you have typed. So that age you are passing as a parameter to that function. Right? Here, now I have to declare this function. This is not perfect now. I have to make this clear. So what it is returning, see here, the returned value from this 1 of age is assigned to year of birth. Year of birth is an integer, so therefore this is an integer function. This is an integer function. Why it's an integer function? Because the return value from this function, yet I have not written fully, the return value is assigned to this year of birth. Year of birth is an integer, so therefore this is an integer type of function. Right? Somewhere I have to use this return statement, I will be writing it later. Now here, you have passed one parameter here called age. This age is now passed as a parameter, so therefore here I have to declare int please observe this carefully. You have to be very careful while declaring the variables. Here I have declared a variable name as AG just to give the differentiation between this and that. In fact, you can give the same name also, but you get confused. You should not get confused. Age is a local variable in this function. If I had declared another age there, that would have become a local variable there in that function. But nevertheless, why I should get confused? I am giving a different name there. So therefore, I just removed a character called E there. So AG, you will understand this, right? What is age here is AG there, that you have to understand. It means the value that you are passing through this parameter age is now becoming AG in this function. So therefore, AG is a local variable within this function, but that local variable to be declared well within this bracket. Be careful while declaring the variable, local variable which is called as a passed parameter. The parameter which is passed, that becomes a local variable in this function, but you have to declare that within this bracket. You should not declare it here. Of course, you can have any number of variables. All variables which are declared over here becomes local variable to this function. However, when you are using this function, now I am getting one parameter from the calling function. This is the calling function. Main is the calling function. This function is the calling function and this is the called function. Because one is called here. One is called here, you can see. One is called. So therefore that function is called function and this is called calling function. This calling function has got a variable called age which is passed as a parameter. That parameter becomes local variable in a different name. You may be calling it as a different name, right? For example, roll number. I may be calling it a roll number. Somebody else may call it a serial number. It's the same. In my attendance register, one teacher may call it a roll number. Another teacher may call in the same attendance register as a serial number. Like that, here this variable, when it reaches there, it will take its own local variable name. You can as well give AGE also, but why get confused? I am taking in a different variable. So you have to understand this. This parameter or this variable we are passing to this will become local variable in this function, in the called function. Called function, that becomes a local variable. Alright. Now we will complete this program. What is that I wanted? You are passing the age and you have to return the year of birth. Year of birth is now current year is 2024, right? So I will be declaring one local variable called integer current year is equal to 2024. I am now declaring a current variable, current year as 2024. Right? Next, integer year of birth. I am now declaring one more variable called as year of birth, YOB, with underscore. Hyphens are not allowed, so that's why you can use this year of birth. How to compute year of birth? Age is already defined. What is that value? That's a local variable, but it has already got the value. How it has got the value? Because it has come from this end. When it is been sent, while that itself actually something has come. While coming itself actually, it is as good as in a first semester, you will be taught with C program. But some students would have studied C, Python, C++, etc. in their PUC itself actually. While coming to engineering, you have already come with C program. Like that, while coming to this program, this variable, one which is written inside the bracket, will already have the value. What is that value? This value. The calling function will send the value. So therefore, that age will be here. Alright? Okay. In this, there are three local variables you have to understand. One called ag, which is having value as sent by calling function. Then, I am declaring one more variable called current year, that is 2024. Year of birth, I am trying to compute this. Right? YOB is equals to current year minus AG. Current year is 2024. You can as well directly type 2024 minus AG. Not a problem. You can directly use 2024 minus AG. What is the value of AG? Sir, I know the value of YOB which is being computed. Current year is 2024. What is the value of AG? AG which is gained from this function. When it is calling, it has sent the value of age. How did this age has come? Age has come through the keyboard, through the typing through the keyboard. So therefore, you got the value which is being typed. You must have typed 50. That 50 is coming here. So 2024 minus 50, that becomes 1976. So 1976 is stored in year of birth. Now you return this value. Return YOB. I have already used this statement in the previous video. So return this value. So with the YOB, year of birth. So therefore, this variable is now sent from this. See, basically functions are used with some parameters being sent. You do some computation and send back with some other value after doing some computation. Now I have done some computation. So year of birth is equal to current year minus AG. So you return this value. Where it goes? I have already assigned this. What is returning after executing this one bracket age? That is assigned to year of birth. Year of birth. YER, this is different, that is different. This is a local variable here, YOB is a local variable here, but that value is passed. Variable is not passed. Value is passed. So what is the value? 1976. That 1976 is reaching here. So 1976. So print that. So if your age is 50, you would have born in 1976. If your age is 24, you would have born in 2000. How did you get it? So you come to this program again, mail, int age, year of birth, scanf, you read the age, so you are typing 24. So year of birth equals 1, you are calling this function now. You are calling this function with sending a parameter from this end with the age as 24. So therefore it reaches here. Int, because it returns an integer. 1, it is now getting a parameter from this function, an integer. So therefore it is an integer AG, right? Integer AG. So therefore I am declaring two more variables as local variable. Current year is equal to 2024. Int YOB is equal to current year minus AG. So return this year of birth. So 2024 minus 24, that becomes 2000. So you return this 2000. So when you return this, it will be assigned to year of birth. It will be assigned to year of birth. Then you print that year of birth. Problem of whatever I have typed as a program may not be so much relevant, because if a age is known, you can directly compute in the main program itself 2024 minus age. That itself is the year of birth. But I am now demonstrating this with a example where you can use the function. Function is sent with a parameter and it is returning with a parameter. It is sent with an integer, returning with an integer. Not necessarily that actually when you are sending an integer, it should return an integer only. Not necessarily. You can return a character, you can return a float. What is returned? So that will be here. When you are returning a float, then it's a float 1 int aj, like that. What is coming is something different. What is going is different from the function. What is going defines the type of function here, integer, float or character. So this is what we are supposed to see, right? Now we will do one realistic example, most realistic example. I am now declaring a variable called option integer type, right? Now I have asked machine to print these things. You would like to compute some factorial, some square, finding the area. You can have any sort of options. If he is pressing 1, you should compute factorial. If it is pressed as 2, then you should find the area of you have to find the square. If it is pressed with 3, then you have to do finding of the area. If he is pressing 4, then you have to do exit, right? So I am reading the option. I am expecting the user to type 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. If he is pressing 1, I should now go to a function called writing the factorial, solving the factorial. If he has pressed 2, then some program to compute square of a number. If he has pressed 3, then I have to find the area of circle or rectangle, whatever it is. If he has pressed 4, then you have to exit this, alright. For this, I have to do this in a continuous fashion, right. What I will do is, I am writing this in a while condition or for loop itself we can do. I will be doing this with a for loop. We have seen this for. I told you on that day, when you write for loop with 2 semicolons inside this becomes infinite. So this should be executed infinite times. If he presses 4, it should come out. If he presses 4, it should come out. If he presses 1, it should do the factorial. If he presses 2, it should do like this. Okay. Now, I will be using a switch statement which we have already seen. Switch on option. Based on the option that user has typed 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, I will be branching it to whichever branch. So, switch case 1. If he has pressed 1, I am calling a function called fact. I am calling a function called fact. Case 2. I am finding a square of a number. Then case 3. Area. Find out the area. Case 4. What I am doing? I am doing the break. Break means I am breaking this innermost loop. This is the end of for loop and this is the end of main function. Alright. Now, you can make out from this set of statements which are there, this for loop will be executed infinite number of times. Sir, when to break this? Nothing to worry. When it is asking for 1 or 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, type 4. When it is case 4, I am telling break. Break what? Break for loop. So for loop is broken, it comes out and it comes out of the main function. So now we are supposed to write the different functions. So I am calling it a fact. What it returns? It doesn't return anything. Because I am not written it, it's a void. But here I can do some changes. Right? Observe this carefully. Fact is a function. It doesn't return anything. You can write this as void. Even if you don't write also, well and good. Not at all a problem. Now, I am writing one local variable called integer number. You are trying to find out the factorial of this number. So I am declaring a local variable called this. So I will ask the user, please type this number. So printf, please enter a number. Now I am asking the user to enter the number. So read that number. Now I am calling real fact function with a parameter called number. And I am assigning this to a variable called factor. See, int number, and one more variable I am calling it's a factor. Just to give a differentiation, I am declaring one more local variable called factor, which is nothing but what is being returned from this particular function. Now, what has happened? You are asking user to give a number. This message is print and you are reading the number. Assume that he has pressed 4. It means you are finding the factorial of 4. 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 you are supposed to get. If he has pressed 10, 10 into 9 into 8 into 7, 6, 5, 4, like this. You are supposed to get the factorial of a number, right? I am supposed to print that number. So printf this, and you are reading this number. Now I am executing this factorial in another function called real fact. I am giving one arbitrary name called real fact. This real fact is really doing the factorial of the number. To that function I am passing a parameter called number. You are passing a parameter called number, and that function, what is that function? Real fact. Yet I have not written the function yet. That returns an integer, because factor is an integer, it returns an integer value. So factorial number is stored in this factor, and you are ultimately printing that. So therefore printf percentage factorial of percentage d is percentage d, you are displaying number, comma, factor, and close this. Now I am writing below here this function. Observe this carefully. What sort of function it should return? It should return an integer, because factor is an integer. To that returned value is stored. So therefore it is an integer function, int, right? Int real fact. Is it accepting or is it taking anything from this function? Yes, it is taking one value. What is that value? That value is a number. Number is an integer. So therefore here also it is an integer. So therefore integer, you can call it as num, integer num. There it is number, here it becomes num. I have already cautioned in the earlier instances that we can use the same variable, because this is a local variable here and this is a local variable here. Just not to get confused, I am now having a different name. That's it, right? Here number, that becomes num here. If you want, you can have some local variables. I can have here integer I. I is a local variable, num is a local variable, but this local variable is already assigned with a value which is coming from the parent function. This is the parent function. Now you can see here, this is a calling function, this is a called function. Again, this is a calling function, this is a called function. To this, this is the parent. To this, this is the parent. Like this. Alright. Integer I. I have declared one local variable called I. So this I will be used for some purposes. Okay. For I equals 1, I less than or equals to num I plus plus. I am declaring one more variable called sum. I am starting sum with 1. Sum equals to sum into I. For I equal to 1, I less than num. So num equals to 4. You take num equals to 4. Yes, typed 4. So 4 is coming here. So for I equal to 1. So first time I equals to 1. I less than or equals to num. Yes, it is true because I is 1. 1 is less than 4. So therefore this will be executed. Sum equals to sum into I. Sum is 1. I is 1. So 1 into 1, it becomes 1. Next, sum becomes 1. So first case, I equals 1, sum equals 1. Then I plus plus is done, so therefore I becomes 2. I becomes 2. I is less than num, yes. 2 is less than 4 or equals to 4. So therefore sum equals to sum into I. Sum is 1, 1 into 2. So therefore sum equals 1 into 2. That is 2. Then I becomes 3. 3 less than or equals to num? Yes. 3 less than or equals to num. Num equals to 4. So therefore 3 less than or equals to 4. So therefore this is executed. Sum equals 2 into 3. It becomes 6. Next, I becomes 4. 4 less than or equals to sum? Yes. It is equals to 4. So therefore I is less than or equal to 4. Yes, 4 is less than or equals to 4. So therefore you will be executing sum is equal to 6 into 4. This becomes 24. This becomes 24. Now I becomes 5. I is less than or equals to num. I is 5. Num is 4. I is less than 5 is less than or equals to 4. No. So therefore this won't be executed. You will be going to the next step. What is the next step? Factorial is available in sum. This resultant is there in the sum. You pass that as a parameter. Pass that as a parameter. So therefore return sum. Close this function. Close this function. Now what happens? This value, what is there in sum? Sum is nothing but factorial of 4. That means 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 is available in a variable called sum. SUM, sum. So that I am returning. When you return, where it is assigned in factor. So therefore I am printing that. So printing factorial of percentage D and percentage D. First I am printing number, then I am printing factor. What is that factor? Factor is a variable that has got the value from a function. So this function, real fact, has sent a value called sum. So therefore sum is now stored in the factor. Only values are passed. Variable is not passed. Only values is passed. What is the value? 24. The 24 is passed to factor. So that is being printed. So therefore it prints factorial of D, factorial of number, that is 4 is 24. Factorial of 4 is 24. Like this it prints. Now I have done program only for this fact. Similarly you can do for the square. Similarly you can do for the area. Area itself you can have a rectangle, triangle, circle. You can have multiple functions. You can write. Now what has happened? Factorial of a number itself is a separate module. Here in the main function, if you press 1, you will be computing the factorial. Otherwise you will be computing something else. You will be computing square of a number. Otherwise you will be finding area of some shapes, maybe square, triangle, circle, etc. and all. You don't want anything, you can press 4. This is how you have to understand. My objective is not to explain any program. My objective is to explain you different way of using the function. So in this I have shown only this is a main function which calls fact Fact calls real fact, real facts returns a value that is assigned to factor, that is printed over here. Like this you can do for square of a number, area of some shapes. If you are not interested, you can go to, you press 4, it comes out. So therefore, in this example, what I have printed on the board, I have taken the for loop, I have taken the switch, I have used for loop, I have used function. Function is called with another function. Function is returning void. Function is sending with a parameter. Function is returning with some parameter. For loops are used. So lot of combination of these programs are being shown over here. We will see with little more examples in the next video. Thank you.